We need to stroll on over, don't we?
To Lucy Letby Corner.
Lucy Letby Corner.
It's been a while since we've strolled over to Lucy Letby Corner, but Chris, there has been some developments.
There certainly has.
First and foremost, the CPS has announced that they won't pursue further murder charges against Britain's most prolific baby murderer. And amongst the usual suspects, this has led them to say that all of our other convictions should be revisited, as they say, in relation to any news on this front in any direction. Do you want to talk us through what the CPS have said here and also what the reaction to it has been?
Certainly. So Chester Police handed over a large file of evidence last year related to about 10 or 12 further possible murders and attempted murders in Letby's career, both at the Council of Chester and previous employer, Liverpool Women's Hospital. And the CPS has said that they don't think it reaches their evidential threshold. In other words, they can't be confident of the conviction, so they'd rather not go ahead. Chester Police put out quite a spiky response saying, come on, like, there's loads of good evidence, basically. And so that's it. Now, as you can imagine, the Letbyists are taking this as proof that she was innocent all along. In actual fact, the interesting thing, a comment from, I think it was someone from the CPS, I could be wrong. It was along the lines of, the whole Letby thing now is such a circus that we can't be confident we're going to get a sensible jury to look at this properly, basically. And Mark McDonald, Letby's barrister, lawyer, solicitor, whatever, the biggest clown in the Letby circus, really, he could just kind of keep filtering out juries, and going, oh, we don't like this. And basically just try and end up with 12 like thirsty old men or swivel-eyed young women, which is Letby's main constituency. But I said this before she was retried for Baby K, that it only takes 25% of the population to be convinced that she's innocent. Well, I don't know how many people are, but there's been a lot of TV programs pushing it. The media are always pushing it. David Davis, Peter Hitchens, all the rest of them. It's quite conceivable that 20-25% of the population are convinced that she's innocent and will acquit her regardless of the evidence. In which case, then, of course, you get, Letby acquitted. The circus gets much worse because then everyone's going, well, she probably didn't do it the first time as well. Now, as it happens, she was unanimously convicted of Baby K, but Letbyism wasn't anywhere near a bigger thing then, 2 years ago, as it is now. So I thought it was always a bit risky bringing these charges. Obviously, you got to feel for the parents who are never going to find out the truth about what happened. It'd be interesting to see whether the details of what allegedly happened now comes out for people to have a look at and make their own minds up about. I don't know. But the Letbyists are going, this is a great victory for us. And it's should be out by Christmas, usual thing. Peter Hitchens, naturally, was leading the charge. In an article for the Daily Mail. I know he likes to talk about the Mail on Sunday, but this was in the Daily Mail. I know that a lot of the media, including the supposedly impartial BBC, still describe Mr. Letby as a serial baby killer. I really wish he would stop doing this. Now, what does he think the BBC should describe her? I mean, it's the only thing she's known for.
Yep.
Oh, Hereford woman, maybe? That's probably how she's described by the Herefordshire local press. Like, Hereford woman gets 15 whole life sentences.
What do you think he wants her to be described as? Like,
controversial NHS medic, neonatal nurse with a checkered past.
Yeah, England's Rose.
Drop dead gorgeous. Like that, exactly. Yeah, NHS scapegoat, Lucy Letby. I mean, sorry, but even if she is innocent, which she isn't, she's obviously, at the moment, there is a heavy presumption of guilt at the moment. They didn't refer to her that before she was convicted. Yes. They said she was a Hereford woman, neonatal nurse. Then she got convicted. If she's ever acquitted, they will say, wrongly convicted, whatever. But at this moment in time, we have a way of establishing innocence and guilt in this country. And though Hitchens might disagree, there really isn't any other way I can see to describe her. The headline of this was the first faint whisper from the establishment that a jury might not have convicted Lucy Letby if they'd known what we know now. And he then goes on to explain all the things that he thinks we know now, most of which is untrue. That's the Letby news for this week. Hopefully it won't be any more for a while, but Thirlwall Inquiry should be out in March.
There we go.
We'll do an emergency podcast for that.
We should do an emergency podcast.
And at some point, the CCRC, I think, will push this appeal through to the Court of Appeal.
They're certainly pushing for it. I see Jeremy Hunt's on this bandwagon now.
Well,
so it's only going to broaden out. Mark, have you got any Lucy Letby takes? It's fine if you don't. This is
no, I don't think I do.
It's a lonely trail.
I find it. I'm almost more fascinated by the sort of interest that Chris Snowdon and Peter Hitchens have. And I wonder whether it's the fact that Peter argues against you just because you're arguing on
It's
the other
contrary.
side. Vice versa, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a contrary.
I think bring back I'm looking forward to the changing of the clocks.
Yes.
Yes, the annual Hitchens-Snowdon debate.
Yes.
Well, that was quite muted this year because he was particularly angry at me for, well, what happens every year now in October, of course, is he goes on about how great it is that the clocks are going back to Hitchens' time. And I tweet to him another hour in prison for Lucy Letby. and then he calls me a horrible human being and refuses to speak to me for ages until I bump into him on tube platform.